Hello and welcome to BlueTube, where we talk all things blue, and this is another episode of Transfer Talk, and the third of this transfer window, I think. And there are some crazy, really mind-blowing stories out this week. And before I go on, the reason this is out on Thursday instead of Friday, as I usually do it, is because I'm away for this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and that's why I'm not going to be responding to any of your comments until Sunday at the least. So don't feel offended, I'm not ignoring you, I'm just away for a few days. But anyway, back to the stories, and I'm sure you may have heard this by now. Chelsea have sold Ramires, and this is a crazy transfer for so many reasons. And let me complete that sentence. Chelsea have sold Ramires to Chinese Super League club Jiangsu Suning. Guys, I am so confused at this transfer. Firstly, let's get this straight. Ramires right now is a 28-year-old player who is a Brazilian international. In fact, he played at the World Cup 2 years ago. He won the Premier League with Chelsea last season. As I said, he's 28 years old, so he's kind of at his prime right now. He's attracting interest from PSG, Bayern Munich. From last summer and before, he'd been attracting interest from Real Madrid, but he's gone to China. Just take that in for a second. Yes, he's gone to China. Not even a good Chinese team. Jiangsu Suning is currently 9th place in the Chinese Super League. And Ramires is moving there from Chelsea. And this is where things get even weirder. In October of 2015, Ramires signed a new contract with Chelsea for 4 years. Guys, if you guys haven't noticed, I'm very, very confused. I don't even know what's happening right now, but apparently this has happened. The deal is reported to be around £25 million for a player that we bought originally for £18 million. It's a £7 million profit. I guess that's some pretty good money. And let's get to some reasons why he may have left. Of course, ever since Gus Hiddink has come, he hasn't really been in contention because Jonathan Mikel has been in that starting 11. In fact, his last start for Chelsea was Chelsea's loss against Leicester, which, if you guys remember, was Jose Mourinho's last game at Chelsea. And Mourinho has talked so many times of how he admires Ramires and how he thinks he's a great athlete, he's a great team player. But ever since Hiddink's come, he hasn't really been in the starting 11, and maybe he's been frustrated. As I said, he hasn't started a game since Hiddink has come, so maybe that's why he's leaving. But the deal still baffles me, guys. I refuse to believe that he's leaving to China in the winter window at 28 years of age just because he hasn't started a game in the last 2 months or something. I refuse to believe that that's what's happening. I'm sure there's something going on behind the scenes, maybe. I don't know, because this deal just seems absolutely crazy to me. But guys, on the whole, my verdict on this is I'm quite happy about this. Because don't get me wrong, guys, I love Ramires. I absolutely love Ramires. And actually, maybe I don't absolutely love him. In the summer, if you guys have been watching me, I kind of said that maybe it's time for us to sell Ramires and bring in someone like Pogba to really reinvigorate our midfield and to rebuild it for the future, I guess. And I suggested he'd be one of those players that we sell. The thing is, I do love him though. I still remember that goal against Barcelona in the Champions League and many other games where he scored very, very important goals for us. For example, this season against Newcastle to get us 2-2. He had some very, very good games, but the thing is, he's never been that starting 11 player. He's always been kind of in the sub. Sometimes he plays defensive midfield, sometimes he plays on the right wing, sometimes he's a very rotational player. And I think maybe for his career, maybe it's better if he leaves Chelsea to get a starting 11 somewhere else. But the Chinese league, I don't know. But guys, on the whole, I am happy about this, and this is another reason why. Maybe this is Chelsea and Roman Abramovich showing their commitment to Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Because this brings up a whole new world for Loftus-Cheek right now. Because right now we have the defensive midfielders. Not Ramires, Matic, Fabregas, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, and Mikel. 4 of them. And of course, right now Fabregas is playing really well. Actually, he got man of the match against Arsenal. By the way, what a game! Oh, but I forgot to mention this. For the last 2 transfer talks, I've been doing this, but I forgot to mention it in the video. If you guys go in the description down below, not only will I be posting all the links to all of the articles here, but I'm also going to be writing a mini match review on the games that's happened this week. So, for example, if you go in the description right now, there'll be a mini match review of me giving my thoughts on the Chelsea-Arsenal game, in which we won 1-0. Get in, Chelsea. But anyway, what was I talking about? Yeah, Fabregas is playing well, Mikel is playing well, Matic kind of on the fringes. In fact, last week I said that Matic might actually leave the club because that was being reported by the media. I don't think that's going to happen anymore. That's not being reported anymore. And obviously because Ramires is left, Chelsea aren't going to let go of 2 defensive midfielders in one window. That's just not going to happen. But also, Ruben Loftus-Cheek. So I think he's got a much better chance at having a crack at the starting 11, especially in maybe FA Cup games. In fact, next Sunday there's an FA Cup game. So who knows? I think on the whole, I'm quite happy about this deal. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this deal. Tell me in the comment section down below. And I've been rambling about this one story for like 5 minutes now. Let me move on. The next story, if my computer will work, is this. Alexandre Pato. I kind of mentioned him in last week's video, saying, you know, how we might sign him, but I don't think it's the best deal to sign him. But apparently, he's in Chelsea. I mean, he's in London. He flew in. He gave an interview to Sky Sports saying that he's gonna go to Chelsea. Apparently, he's having a medical right now. By the time I upload this video, this deal might even be finalized. Who knows? Because I'm actually filming this on Wednesday, and the video is gonna go up on Thursday because my upload speed is terrible. But yeah. He's in for a medical. Apparently the deal is worth around £10 million. But, this is big. And this is something that hasn't been reported until today. Apparently, he's going to come on a loan until the rest of the season. And then Chelsea will have the option to sign him for £10 million or not to sign him. And I think that is key. I think that's very, very smart what Chelsea have done there. In last week's video, I talked about how I don't think he's the right striker to join us. I don't think we should sign him this window. But I think it's a great deal to get him on loan for 6 months, see how he does, and if we don't want him, go away. But if he turns out to score 20 goals in 10 games, sign him up for £10 million. And that deal is in his contract, so I think that's a fantastic business from Chelsea. So Pato, welcome to Chelsea if you do join, which you probably will. So yeah, I think this could be very, very great for us. And speaking of deals that are... Wait, never mind. That's a terrible transition. I'm gonna move on. Yeah, speaking of deals that are almost done, I forgot what I was gonna say. Anyway, Alex Teixeira. This is a strange one, because before the window even started, you know, it was reported that he was gonna join Chelsea because it's his dream to play for Chelsea. And I've talked about his link with Mourinho in past videos, but of course Mourinho is not in Chelsea anymore. And I said last week that Liverpool is starting to hijack our deal for Teixeira, and that our negotiations for him have stalled. And this is showing especially this week. Liverpool have submitted 2 bids for him, one for £25 million, and one for £23 million, and the other for £28 million. And if you guys remember me saying, Chelsea had a verbal deal agreed with him for £30 million. So I thought, you know, this could happen. But apparently Liverpool have stepped up their interest, and because he's gaining more interest, Shakhtar have revalued him from £30 million all the way up to £40 million. So they're going to be holding up for a lot of money, or £38 million to be exact. They're going to be holding up for a lot of money from Liverpool. And apparently Chelsea aren't going after him anymore, which confuses me to my bone. But maybe, you know, I kind of get it to be honest. You know, we got Oscar, we got Pedro, we got Hazard, we got Willian, 4 players for that 3 role. That's perfect. We can rotate them, we can sub them in and out. If you have an injury, take one out. And Fabregas can also play in that number 10 role as he's shown. So I think it kind of does make sense, but it would hurt so much to see Teixeira move to Liverpool, because he's a fantastic player. He's got an insane games to goals record this season, and he seems to be just a beast in general. But Jurgen Klopp is looking into him. Speaking of Liverpool, they're actually looking into Xhaka as well, who is a central midfielder in the Bundesliga. So, you know, I don't think they're gonna buy both Teixeira and Xhaka, but one of them they could buy, and Teixeira could be one of them. And I'd like to hear your thoughts about this as well, because he's been reported for the last 3 weeks, and we thought this was gonna happen, but it hasn't yet. Apparently, Liverpool are going to sign him. Would you want Liverpool to sign him? If you were Abramovich, would you go in and offer a £40 million bid for him? I personally don't think I would. I think I'm happy with our current midfield, with our current players. And in previous videos, I have said that I'd be delighted to see him join the club because he is just that good of a player. But £38 million for someone who's only played, in Shakhtar Donetsk, who hasn't really proven himself in the big leagues, I think that's a much too big of a gamble to take, especially when you have players like Fabregas or Oscar, Hazard or Willian or Pedro that can play instead of him. But apparently, he could be joining Liverpool. And now let's talk about some players that might be leaving Chelsea. And Loic Remy is hitting the headlines right now. Apparently, league leaders, I feel so weird to say, but league leaders Leicester City have made an offer for Loic Remy. And of course, he did come on near the end. No, never mind. Loic Remy, he's been a decent player, I think. Especially last season, he was really, really good last season. He's had the best goals to minutes ratio last season in the Premier League, I think. This season he hasn't had that much of an impact, and I've expressed my dissatisfaction with him in the past as well, saying that he's not good enough to be at a club like Chelsea. But I've always thought someone like him could be a good third striker. We have Diego Costa. If we sign a big striker, we could have Loic Remy as a third striker kind of thing. But apparently, Leicester are looking into him, and they've been interested. Clubs in the Premier League have been interested in him since the beginning of this window, and Leicester have actually tabled an offer for him for £8 million. But it should be noted that Leicester have almost finalized a move for Eder, who is another striker who he plays for Serie A, I think, in Italy. And Leicester have almost finalized a deal for Eder. And it would make no sense for them to buy Eder and Loic Remy when they have someone like Jamie Vardy, who's being insane this season. So I think they're going to go for one of them. It's similar to Liverpool, actually. I think they're going to go for one of them, but not both. So if they do manage to buy Eder, I don't think they're going to go for Loic Remy. And personally, I do think that they're going to get Eder. I don't think they're going to go for Loic Remy. And I don't think Chelsea are going to be willing to sell him, and I don't think Chelsea should sell him for this reason. Currently, Chelsea have Diego Costa, Loic Remy, and Falcao. Falcao has been injured for so long, he's still injured, and he's not a great player, so let's take him out. We've got Loic Remy and Diego Costa. We play a 4-2-3-1 formation where we have one striker, and currently we've got two strikers. We're going to buy Pato, great, we've got three strikers now. So if someone gets injured or suspended or whatever, then we have two strikers to pick from. If someone's tired, we want to rotate, then we have someone to pick one. I think 3 players is the optimal number to have, and I think for at least until the end of the season, Diego Costa, Loic Remy, and Alexandre Pato would make a brilliant trio for us, and I think we can work with that. That's something, we can work with, but if we do sell him, that's not going to work, and I think Chelsea are smart enough to realize that, so I don't think that this deal is going to materialize, to be honest. Another player that might leave, or that might leave permanently, I should add, is Juan Cuadrado, and let me just remind you who this guy is, because I'm pretty sure you may have forgotten. This is the player that we bought last season at this time from Fiorentina. And when he was at City, he's been labeled the Quadrominator, and he came into the Premier League with such high expectations. But he hasn't really, it hasn't really worked out for him, so we loaned him out to Juventus this summer. And in that contract, apparently it said that, we loaned him out in the summer of 2015, and in the contract it said, in the winter of 2016, so this transfer window, Juventus could make the deal permanent for £16 million. And apparently they're interested in making it permanent, but they're not willing to pay £16 million for it, which is why it hasn't happened yet. They're looking to get a reduced price, so maybe like 14, 13 million pounds for Cuadrado. So this could happen in this window, in the remaining week or whatever, in the remaining few days, not even a full week actually. This could happen, and to be honest, I want it to happen. He's deadwood, we have Pedro, there's no space for him. We might as well get the cash in, when we can. And of course, we'd be making a loss for him, because he came in for like 20-something million pounds. We would be making a loss, but some investments you get money out of, some investments you lose money out of. That's how life works, that's how business works. But I personally want this guy to leave permanently, just so that we can cash in on him. Now another player that might move is Gary Cahill, and this is kind of a strange one, and not a strange one actually, but kind of an unexpected one, because even though he hasn't been playing in the last few games, he hasn't, ever since Hiddink has come, it's kind of been Terry and Zuma bossing that central defense, so he hasn't really had a chance. But there haven't really been any talks of him leaving. He's kind of a very, very obedient player. He loves the club, that's for sure. So there haven't really been reports until this week, because of course Euro 2016 is going to happen this summer, and Cahill wants a place in that England team, in that England squad, and he's worried that if he continues to play at Chelsea, he's not going to get that opportunity. And that kind of makes sense for me, actually. So he might be leaving. I personally don't want to see him leave, but maybe it's better for his career if he does leave. Who knows? He's still not very old. He's like 28 years old, I think. So he's still got 4 or 5 years left in him, especially because he's a centre back. And he is a great player when he plays. He is a great player. He gives his all. He loves Chelsea. He loves their club in and out. So it would suck to see him leave. But Terry and Zuma are being so good right now in the center of defense. I personally think they're being incredible right now, that I would not take any of them out for Gary Cahill, which does kind of suck for him, I guess. There haven't been any rumors as to a price tag or what clubs he might leave, what clubs he might go to. It's kind of just a rumor right now that he wants to leave Chelsea. So maybe next week we'll see what happens. It'll be interesting to see if he does eventually move or not. But as I said, I don't want him to leave. But maybe it's better for his career if he does so. And this is kind of a weird one. I kind of talked about this in the very first transfer talk of this window, but it's Hazard to Real Madrid. This is kind of resurfaced over the last few days, so let me just say it now. By the way, this is not happening this window. If it does happen, it's going to happen in the summer. Of course, Hazard, he's been injured for a while. He was back against Arsenal. He came up for the last 15 minutes or so. He didn't really make a huge impact, but he's been injured for a while. Forgive him. I'll forgive him for that. But we'll see how he develops, and hopefully he really picks up his form. But in terms of Real Madrid, apparently Zinedine Zidane, who has previously publicly talked about how much he admires Hazard as a player, has told Real Madrid, told the board, and Hazard should be their #1 priority for this summer. And they will do whatever it takes to get him. And Chelsea have said you're going to need to pay at least £80 million to get Hazard. So things could get very interesting in the summer. If he does leave, if he doesn't leave, who knows? And apparently, if he does leave, Chelsea are looking to bring in someone like Griezmann, who's valued at around £55 million to kind of fill in his shoes. But I think Marco Reus could also do a very, very good job. But all of this, big players, big names, all of this is for the summer. So I'll just leave it at that. I don't want to ramble on about this for too long. And now let's talk about some players that we might sign, some rumors about us signing. First one is Robin van Persie. He's been kind of shown in a variety of sources. Currently, he does play for Fenerbahce. Apparently, he's not very happy. To my knowledge, he's not really having a great season as well. And apparently, Gus Hiddink is looking at him. However, of course, I talked about Alexandre Pato making a move. And if Pato signs for Chelsea, then Van Persie is not going to sign. And of course, it's like 99.99% done that he's going to sign for Chelsea because he's already in London, he's having his medical, blah, blah, blah. But in the tiny possibility that the deal falls through somehow, then we're going to be going on to Van Persie to see if we can get him on a loan deal. But this is a very, very small possibility. I don't think it's going to happen. But it is an interesting rumor that popped up. And he is a great striker, or at least he has been in the past. He's very, very clinical. And he can get a lot of goals, but I don't think this is going to happen because I am absolutely certain that the deal for Pato is gonna go through, basically, as in it's going to happen. Another player, I think I skipped one. No, I don't know. Another player that we've been linked with, that we've been linked for this whole window, that we've been linked with for this whole summer window, is John Stones, and I really don't need to talk a lot about him at this point. If you've been following me for a while, especially in last summer's transfer talk, you'll know exactly how I feel about him. I think he's overpriced, basically. But you know what? Things are getting a bit more interesting because Gary Cahill might be leaving. And if he does leave, let's say in that, parallel universe in which he does leave, then maybe John Stones could come into Chelsea. But of course, I think in last week's transfer talk, in fact, I mentioned this, that we can go for some much better center backs for the same price, or for a cheaper price. Someone like Varane or someone like Laporte, both in La Liga, who are both French. Kurduma's French, great communication. Thibaut Courtois Belgian, he speaks French, great communication. I would rather invest my money in Varane or Laporte, but apparently Chelsea are interested in him. Of course, Manchester United and a bunch of other clubs, they've been interested in him for a while. I don't think that this deal is going to happen, guys. At least in this window, maybe in the summer, who knows what could happen. Especially if we sell Hazard for a lot of money, then we could bring in John Stones for a lot of money. But I don't think it's going to happen this window, because I don't think Everton are going to sell him in January. That just doesn't make sense to me. I think they're going to hold out at least until the summer. And in fact, I'm going to say this now. This summer, John Stones is going to move clubs. I'm going to say that now. Because he's attracting interest from a variety of clubs. Chelsea, United, even Real Madrid. Huge clubs with huge names, with a huge budget. So I do think he's going to leave at the end of the season, but not in this current transfer window. And that brings us on to our final story, with another center back. And we've been linked with a few center backs because, of course, Gary Cahill is being linked with the move away. We're actually being linked with Thiago Silva. And this kind of seems ridiculous. When I first read this, I thought it was a joke, but it's being reported by a few sources, so I thought I'd mention it. Thiago Silva, of course, an amazing center back. He's like 33 years old right now. He's Brazilian. As I said, he's an amazing center back. Very, very good. Very, very experienced. Very, very competent. Currently, he plays for PSG, and that's why I don't think this deal is going to happen. Actually, there's many reasons why I don't think it's going to happen. Obviously, we have John Terry, Zuma, Cahill, and of course, Chelsea are looking towards the future, because we're looking towards the future in which John Terry might not be at the club because he is getting old, and Chelsea are going to be looking at young, promising center backs, not at old, experienced, yet competent center backs. Sorry. So I don't think it's going to happen. Also, he's in PSG, and of course we're matched up against PSG in the Champions League round of 16, and I don't think PSG is going to sell one of their best defenders into their direct opponent. That would kind of be a stupid move to make. So I don't think this deal is going to go through. By the way, guys, I forgot if I mentioned this or I don't know if I mentioned this or not, but I do think Cahill is going to stay for this window. If he does leave, I think he's going to leave at the end of this season. But I feel like the summer is going to be very interesting, guys. But for the rest of this window, I don't really see a lot of deals happening, except for Alexandre Pato joining, of course, which, as I said, might already have happened, because this video is going to be uploaded a day after I'm filming this. So by the time you're watching this, we could have Pato at the club. And guys, that brings us to the end of today's transfer talk, or this week's transfer talk. The transfer window, January does end on Sunday. Of course, Monday is a new month, and the transfer window is going to be closed. I might make a video then, just summarizing everything that's happened in this window. But the thing is, this window hasn't really been too eventful for us, surprisingly, because prior to this, we actually, every Chelsea fan in the world was saying this window was huge for us. We need to revive our season, blah blah blah. But really, not a lot has happened. So that may or may not, that video summarizing the whole window may or may not come up. But guys, that's been this week's rumors. That's been this week's transfer talk, and yeah, that's it. As I said, I'm away until Sunday, so I'm not going to be able to respond to any of your comments. But please leave a comment down below talking about any of these transfers. There's plenty to talk about. Ramires, Pato, what do you think of him? John Stones, do you want that to happen? Alex Teixeira, do you want him to come to Chelsea or go to Liverpool? Plenty of stuff to talk about. I'd be interested to hear what you guys have to say. Of course, I'll be responding to comments from Sunday onwards, so don't be too discouraged at that. But anyway, that's it for today. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. How do I usually end these? Oh yeah, and as always, stay blue.